Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Quarantine Collections. My name is Travis Gilbert, and I'm the Educator and Collections Coordinator here at the Old Baldy Foundation. Thank you for joining us for this virtual programming as we quell or stem the curve, doing what we can to mitigate the effects of this pandemic. On behalf of the entire Old Baldy Foundation staff and board of directors, I sincerely hope that you and your family are safe and that you're healthy, and we thank all our essential employees, all our grocery store workers, our truck drivers, our medical personnel, our nurses and doctors. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing what you are doing to quell this pandemic as we all self-isolate and support you in these endeavors. So throughout the past few weeks, we've been providing these virtual programs for y'all out there in order to provide some levity and to give you a little education moment each day. This afternoon, we'll be doing our final programming of the week. At 2 o'clock, we'll be doing an edition of Touring with Travis out on the island. But this morning, I thought that I would pull out the Frank B. Wyatt collection for you all and talk about what Bald Head Island was like in the 1980s. Yes, the good old 80s. What was this island like? You may have joined us yesterday afternoon when we had Jane Oakley. We did an interview with the first executive director of the Old Baldy Foundation, and she had are there any wasp up now? Oh, that's an old video, okay. Well, Jane was talking about how she toured over here in the 1980s. And I thought, well, let's talk about what it was like to be over here on Bald Head Island when Jane Oakley first set eyes on Bald Head. And wasp, somebody was commenting on a previous video when I was up in the lantern room at Old Baldy Lighthouse. She was asking, are there any wasps up there now? Margaret, I think it was just a little early for wasp. It's still just a tad chilly over here on the island. I know on the mainland it has gotten almost to 90 degrees a few days ago, but just simply not warm enough over here yet. You know how that cool ocean water refrigerates the temperatures here. So I'm going to be following along on my phone. If you're out there listening, give us a shout out. Reach out in the comments. Say hello. Let us know where you're listening from. Let us know what your connection to Bald Head Island is. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments there, and we will find an answer for you. So let's dig into the Frank B. Wyatt collection and step back in time to the good old 80s. So who was Frank B. Wyatt? Well, Frank Wyatt was a North Carolinian who purchased one of the earliest lots on Bald Head Island during the 1970s. And if you recall, in the early 70s, this island was purchased by Carolina Cape Fear Corporation. They bought the island from a gentleman named Frank Sherrill, who had owned Bald Head since the 1930s. So throughout much of the 20th century, this island was owned by Frank Sherrill, and he sold it to Carolina Cape Fear Corporation. And once they purchased the island, they began immediately on building a golf course. They surveyed the island into residential lots and began marketing those lots to individuals like Frank Sherrill. Frank Sherrill was not a Generator Society member, meaning that he purchased a lot. He owned that lot throughout the 70s, and as we're going to learn, into the 1980s, but Frank Sherrill never built on the island. So he is not considered one of those early Generator Society members who actually purchased their lot, built upon the lot, and then powered all their power tools and their amenities after constructing their homes through gas-powered generators. And if you recall from a previous episode, or perhaps from reading on your own or visiting Bald Head Island, you know that Carolina Cape Fear Corporation goes bankrupt in 1976 due to the effects of a recession and largely due to the effects of environmental activists impeding their ability to construct a marina here on the island. They eventually reached a compromise for the marina in the late 70s, but it was too little, too late. The environmental activists such as the Sierra Club and the Conservation Council did their best to place injunctions in court against the construction of the marina, which sapped Carolina Cape Fear Corporation of their capital and of their resources. It made various investors extremely nervous about the financial liabilities here, and eventually they go bankrupt. And Carolina Cape Fear Corporation's assets revert to their principal investor, their principal stockholder, which was BIG. It's an acronym for Builders Investment Group. It was based out of Pennsylvania. And it is Builders Investment Group in the very late 70s who sell their assets and Bald Head Island to Jim Harrington and Walter Davis, who create Bald Head Island Corporation. And they are the individuals who sell this island to George Mitchell in 1983, Bald Head Island Limited LLC, which is considered the current developer, although this island is a municipality and governed by a mayor and various councilmen and their city staff. So Frank Sherrill's tenure here on the island as a property owner spans these three developers. First, Carolina Cape Fear Corporation, then Bald Head Island Corporation, and eventually Bald Head Island Limited LLC. Patty, good morning. Travis from Cape, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Patty. Let us know what state that's in, Patty. That would be great. Well, good morning to you, Patty. And good morning, Mackie, listening from Wilmington. Nice to be watching. Mackie, thank you for joining us. If y'all are listening out there, give us a shout out. Let us know where you're listening from, what your connection to Bald Head Island is. We'd love to hear from you on this beautiful Saturday morning. So what Frank Sherrill did correct is while he owned this property on Bald Head Island, he kept all the correspondence, all the literature, all the pamphlets, all the maps, the locator maps. He was just a hoarder. And we're so thankful that he hoarded all these documents because eventually he donated those documents to the Old Baldy Foundation. And when individuals donate a batch of documents that are original, meaning that they're not copies, they are original, we bound them together in a collection. For this collection, I put them in chronological order, beginning in the early 70s and ending in the mid-1980s. And it's named Frank Sherrill because we name our manuscript collections after the individual or the family that donated those batch of documents. So our Boyd family collection is named after Grace Boyd, the granddaughter of Thomas Franklin Boyd, who owned this island in the very early 20th century. Our Donna Ray Mitchell collection is named after the first president of the Old Baldy Foundation, who donated all her documents relating to the establishment of the Old Baldy Foundation in the early 2000s. Same concept here for Frank B. Wyatt. Same concept. He donated the batch of documents, so the collection is named after him. So the first thing, good morning, Donna, watching from Long Island, New York. Thank you for listening, Donna. Good Saturday to you. We appreciate your support. So the first document I thought I'd pull out is from February 1981, and it is basically a progress report from John Messick. John Messick was a former employee of Carolina Cape Fear Corporation, and in 1981 he bridged and he became an employee of Bald Head Island Corporation under Jim Harrington and the investments of Walter Davis. You recall that there is a stained glass window dedicated to his memory in the village chapel just down the street. That was dedicated after his passing in 2004. So every year they would provide the property owners these progress reports, letting them know the state of the amenities on the island, the infrastructure, and any future plans going on into the future. So it says here, electric power on Saturday, January 24th, 1981, a switch was thrown at a celebration party on the island to change the corporate facilities from receiving power from on-island generators to receiving power from Carolina Power and Light Company. Wow! They get power. They finally get electricity in January 24th, 1981. Fantastic. That was a big step in the establishment of the modern resort or community that we all know and love and cherish today. The marina, it says Diamond Construction Company has begun construction on the first phase of the marina and have already placed several hundred feet of bulkheading. We expect to be using the marina by early summer, but don't anticipate building anything other than a few transient docks this year. So the marina is started in 1982, in 1981, and they imagine by midsummer 1981, the marina is going to be completed. Hold off on that. John Messick was a little optimistic on saying that the marina would be finished by the summer of 1981. They say water and sewer. Each individual lot in Stage 1 has been studied by our engineers and systems for water supply and wastewater disposal. They have been designed to prevent excessive withdrawals in any given area to protect the to protect the water supply and surface contamination. So right now in 1981, they're all receiving their water and discharging their wastewater with wells and septic tanks, but they are moving in the direction of a water and sewer system, a municipal system as we know it today on Bald Head Island. Says the golf course, significant improvements have been made to the island's golf course. Several greens have been converted from bent grass to Bermuda grass, which is better suited to our climate and the weather conditions. The other greens will be converted during 1981. Road improvements. One lane of West Bald Head wine leading from the marina area to the inn has been surfaced with clay and coquina. Imagine that. So before the modern asphalt as we know it today, the roads were surfaced with clay and coquina. And if you're familiar with southeastern North Carolina, the coquina is, there was significant amounts of coquina originally in these parts, not too much today. If you're familiar with Curie Beach or Fort Fisher, there's a significant outcropping of coquina on that beach. It's one of the only areas that I'm familiar with that has coquina that you can see today and touch. So we are now investigating other surface materials. All the winds and trails in Stage 1 have now been accurately located and open to provide access to each lot. So all these winds and trails in 1981 are still dirt. They're still dirt, folks. They're slowly but surely getting to paving these roads, but West Bald Head Wine is one of the only ones. And I have a map pulled out behind me. We'll explore what they mean when they say West Bald Head Wine leading from the marina area to the inn. It says property sales in May have been very pleased with the progress of this past year. Current lot prices range from $14,000 in the forest to $90,000 on the ocean front. Golf course lots are currently selling for $26,500, dune lots for $20,500, and oceanside from $30,000 to $45,000. Very, very curious. And lastly, I want to point out what it says here about marine transportation, schedules and fees and barges. I think all y'all find that curious. So in the year 1981, during the winter months, our passenger boats will operate on an appointment basis only. Woo! You imagine trying to get over here to appointment basis only. I'm very happy with our current ferry passenger system in the winter. So it says during January, February, and until March 15th, the boats will be available to carry passengers to the island from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Since traffic is light during the months, the smaller boats will be used. Unless conditions warrant the use of Bald Head 1. Bald Head 1 is the first ferry passenger coming over here. Hey, Keith and Maria, it's good to see you. Good morning to you all. Good morning, McCallie. So the fees, a transportation pass in the year 1981 was $15 per person per visit, and that entitles the passenger to parking on the mainland, boat passage to the island, transportation on the island to and from destination, and return, boat passage back to the mainland. So basically you get a tram, you get a round trip ticket, and you get parking on the mainland for $15. Or if you don't need a tram system, $5. And if you want to buy a seasonal annual pass, it's $250 for the season, providing unlimited transportation for the owner, his family, and house guests. What a deal! 1981, what a deal. Barge transportation. The barges normally operate from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, so not much has changed there in regards to the barge, except maybe the fees. The fees for barge trips is $35 per vehicle round trip, or $100 per full barge load. They got to be scheduled in advance. Very, very curious. Not too dissimilar. Some things are similar based on 1981. Some things are vastly different. But very curious, all in this progress report for 1981. Now, I brought out another progress report, or what they call a program booklet. So they would send out property owners these program booklets, just kind of showing you the amenities, the programs, the offerings for each year. And this one was sent out in January of 1982. Mackie, what a foresight. All these people had to have documents in detail on all they did. They were looking at an island that was completely barren and unknown. You're absolutely right, Mackie. They took a lot of risk in investing in this property, and we are so glad. Think of all the homeowners and property owners that just pitched all this stuff, over the years, or heaven forbid they pass away and the next generation just pitches it all. It really is a lesson to anybody listening out there. Not just in relation to Bald Head Island, but any little historical society in your hometown. These are the things that historians use. So the next time you're looking at that batch of documents, think, may someone learn something from this? Does this have value, maybe not to me anymore, but maybe to my local historical society like the Old Baldy Foundation? We're so very fortunate that Frank Sherrill kept all these documents and didn't pitch them when he didn't need them anymore. So we had the inn here for 1982. It'll be open from May 2nd to September 12th. And I pulled out a map over here. I'll show you where the inn used to be. Very curious. They'll join evening cruise to the island at 6 o'clock. It's a special package here. So for a package, you get an evening cruise at 6 o'clock, a tour of the island community, and dinner at the inn. And the return trip to Southport will be 9 o'clock at night. And all this is on a reservation basis for $18.50 a person. So it's a marketing idea. Come over here in the evening, get a tour of the island, get dinner at the inn. We'll send you back over at night, $18.50 a person. Maybe you'll come back if you have a really good experience. Kristen, what year was the golf course developed? Was it here before the Generator Society began to build? That is correct. The golf course was begun in around 1982. So largely there was a golf course over here before there were many of the Generator Society members. It was kind of for early Generator Society members like the Burns and the Tudors. They are building at the same time the golf course is wrapping up, Kristen. So that's a great question. The Bald Head Inn, we had a daily rate $70. Daily rate $65 on the off days, Sunday through Thursday. $10 for children, maximum of 4 children. Very, very curious there. Moving forward here, hey, the golf course. The golf course has a page in the program booklet. It says it began in 1982, as we discussed there, Kristen. It's in top condition. All the greens were converted to Bermuda grass last year, as previously discussed in that first document we looked at. Special package, of course, here. Groups 8 to 16. Get 3 nights at the inn, 4 days of golf, transportation, breakfast, dinner, golf cart, and green fees, all for $195 per person, double room occupancy. What a deal. What a deal. So if you don't want that package, looks like the fees here are for property owners, $6 per day. If you're a guest of a property owner, it's $10 a day to golf. And you're staying at the inn, $10 a day as well. And if you're not staying, you're coming over for the day, it's $21 if you're 8 or less people. Excuse me, it's $21 if you're 8 or more players coming as a day tripper. Or if you're 7 or less, it's $28 per person. That includes your green fee, your cart, and your transportation. Pretty good deal. Kind of fascinating information. So if you can't tell, this is what the marina looked like. I got a cool picture of the docking facilities at that marina that was finished in 1982. Again, not finished in 1981, as John Messick tried to sell us in the previous documents. It's finished in 1982, and I don't know if this will show up well, but there you go. There you have the Bald Head 1 arriving at the marina docking facility. So I think we have it a little bit better than they did in 1982. You can see the bulkheads back there. That is the current bulkheads that you see today. Not as nice facilities. It says passengers with baggage must be at the dock 15 minutes before scheduled departure. Hey, that has not changed. Reservations may be necessary. That has changed, especially during the busy summer and holiday weekends. So ticket prices will remain at $5 per person round trip for 1982. Each ticket includes a round trip ferry plus pickup transportation to and from the destination on the island. So your tram service. Kristen, wow, love seeing that old marina picture. Yeah, and it's cool. I'll post it in the comments a little bit later. And here's another picture of the Bald Head 1. Surely not the catamarans that we like today. All right, just going through here, because I realize I am talking more than I realize. I pulled out a little more than maybe I can probably get to, and we'll bring back the Frank B. Sherrill collection, because it is fascinating. I've heard from several of y'all out there you wanted to hear more about what it was like here in the 80s and the early developments. That's why I thought I'd pull this out. All right, so during 1981, so the previous year, all winds, trails, and courts in Stage 1 were surfaced with sand-clay asphalt mix, allowing lightweight vehicles, golf carts, and bicycles to access through the developed area. We have some finished work to be done, and some of the road sections in late spring or early summer, our engineers tell us, will have dependable, easily maintenance road system capable of handling the small, leisurely paced vehicles that complement island lifestyle. Right? Still, curious enough, still an 18 miles per hour speed limit. Still an 18 miles per hour speed limit. So that certainly hasn't changed. And here, so the early 80s, they still have some four-wheelers and some conventional vehicles over here. They're trying to transition out the four-wheelers and the Jeeps and whatnot from the Generator Society era. So the four-wheel drive and conventional vehicles will generally not be allowed on Stage 1 roads, but may be registered for limited use for fishing trips, etc. So clearly they're trying to phase them out, and one of the rules that they phased out these Generator Society era vehicles, such as Scouts and four-wheelers and three-wheelers and trucks, were, hey, can't put them on the brand new lines that we just paved. And Gina Price, what did the tram service consist of back then? Here's a little picture of it. If you see, not the trucks, but right there. So not too dissimilar to what we have today. They look pretty similar. If I come across a better picture of those, I will point them out here. All right. So I think I'm going to wrap up here on this program booklet. I'm going to let you know how you all can access this at home. Again, 1982 program booklet. So I'm going to pull out, and I brought it on 1983, but it was a little go-hung. I'm going to take you over here to a map. So they had locator maps just as we have today, and I pulled out one. So here we have stage one meaning all the development west of muscadine wine. So this is what the map looks like that Frank Sherrill kept for us, a locator map. So curious enough, up here is the marina. You see there's no buildings around the marina yet. No buildings. It says proposed marina and yacht club. So this is a little earlier. This dates to 1980. So here is where the inn was. You can see the proposed country club there is not too dissimilar to what it looks like today. That is current location. You can see the golf course around there with all the greens. So as we were discussing earlier, the inn was located right across West Bald Head Wine from the Bald Head Island Club. And it consisted of all these kind of octagonal buildings connected by a series of boardwalks. And in the center there you had the larger inn where the restaurant was. If you recall that they had to have a security guard there because that was the only ice machine on the island. So the Generator Society members would often try to break in and raid some ice, which they called Bald Head Island diamonds. Now, if you look at all these neighborhoods, cul-de-sacs, on the south side of West Bald Head Wine. Anyone knows today, they are not there anymore. And I'll take you back to the collection and show you some correspondence where they're trying to mitigate the effects of the Atlantic Ocean there eroding at South Beach. So many of these cul-de-sacs are no longer in existence. Some of them are, but most of them are not. And even if they are, there are not as many lots, again, on the south side of South Bald Head and West Bald Head Wine. Significant difference. Another big difference, you can see stage one ends there, muscadine wine, everything is west. Another significant change is look at the lighthouse. They intended to build a small commercial area around the lighthouse. So very similar, I would compare it today to the shops at the Maritime Market, the Maritime Wine. They wanted to build that originally around Old Baldy Lighthouse. Of course, it never happened. You have a quaint little town green today, in my opinion, fortunately, because according to their original plans, it would have been quite commercialized around Old Baldy Lighthouse. Now, a lot of things are similar. Still have Steed Bonnet Wine, all that. You can see that's where the hammocks are. Originally named Duke Albemarle Manor House sites. That's where the hammocks are, so that really didn't change much. So a lot of Morning Warbler, that's still there. So many things are different. Many things are much the same. All that according to this locator map, just as we have locator maps today. So let's go back here and wrap up. What happened to all those homes and cul-de-sacs that they had planned on the south side of South Bald Head Wine? We have here correspondence from 1980. It's from Thad Wester, who is the first president of the Bald Head Island Property Owners Association, which is the Bald Head Island Association today. And it says, Dear Bald Head Island property owner, during the past year, we've been studying ways in which to improve the development of Bald Head Island. One area of particular concern is the area we call West and South Beaches. This includes Seagull Trail, Cape Fear Trail, Sandpiper Trail, Kingfisher Trail. Many of these lots and trails are located directly on top of the frontal dunes that are now part of the Coastal Area Management Act regulations and might prohibit construction so close to the water. We have also been concerned about the size of lots and have combined or replatted lots where possible in order to lessen density and to make planned water and wastewater systems more functional. The maps enclosed with this letter illustrate the proposed new layout of the lots. So John Messick wrote that, and then in addition to John Messick's correspondence, Thad, president of the Homeowners Association, says, the proposal by Bald Head Island Corporation to relocate and or eliminate certain trails and to modify certain lots on the West Beach property adjacent to these trails has been reviewed by the property owner's board of directors. And he is saying that we're in agreements. So because Frank B. Wyatt owned one of those lots, they sent him a new deed that he had to fill out and provide, and it has all these plat maps with their mitigation efforts. Now, I will tell you, this is one of many pieces of correspondence in this collection discussing how they need to change and adapt these trails and these winds, these cul-de-sacs along West and South Beaches. This is going to become a consistent problem that appears time after time in the Frank B. Wyatt collection. And that collection serves as a wonderful piece of primary resource to kind of chart and chronicle the effects of erosion on West and South Beach. And as you're familiar with Bald Head Island today, still a particular concern down there. And the last thing I wanted to point out, so one of the first communities that they complete is the Bald Head Island Villas. And Frank B. Wyatt kept in his collection a wonderful piece of marketing related to the villas. You can see they did not much change. They are originals. They were finished in 1983. All right. I just want to say it's a beautiful piece of marketing. Look at it. Let me just read a little section here before we wrap up. The villas will be constructed in several phases, nestled between the Bald Head Inn and the 18th green of the Bald Head Island Golf Course. Lagoons serpentine in and around the site, providing an unusual and delightful environment. The Bald Head Island Villa is an exciting community consisting of 56 individual homes. Each villa is built on a 16-foot pedestal with parking underneath. The villas are being developed with each home retaining a membership in the Homeowners Association for community maintenance. The bedrooms are cantilevered section of the house and have no common walls between them. This feature gives you total privacy from noise transmission. Each bedroom can accommodate either twins or a king-size bed. It's a loft area with additional deck and spectacular views, sleeping area, and a half bath. The master bath and community bath have the convenience of a tub and shower combination. The villas are carefully developed by an island development group, a joint venture between that organization and Carolina Coast Associates, an experienced and responsible construction and development company committed to faithfully fulfilling their commitment to this very special place. Right? So a beautiful piece of marketing. And again, so and we'll bring out the Frank B. Wyatt collection. I hope today gave you a little idea of what life was like here in the 1980s as George Mitchell is preparing to purchase Bald Head Island and wrap up development as we know it today. we will be bringing you more from the Frank B. Wyatt collection in future episodes. But in the meantime, if you would like to read some of this literature and some of this correspondence, you can find this on eHive. It is where we digitize our collections at the Old Baldy Foundation. I call it like the Facebook or the Instagram of collections. It's one of many softwares that are provided or museums may purchase in order to digitize their collections and make them accessible to the public. So you can access our eHive, access the Frank B. Wyatt collection on our website, oldbaldy.org. You'll go to the main menu and click Archives. That'll take you and link you to eHive. From eHive, you'll have to search Frank B. Wyatt collection. It's in the description on Facebook Live right now. And you can download any of these materials. They download as a PDF onto your computer for all your reading and all your pleasure. So we're really happy to provide you with that resource. Now, this afternoon, we'll be bringing you a 2 o'clock Touring with Travis. I'll wrap up our virtual programming for the week. And I'm going to take a few days of R&R. But I do have some announcements because we have a busy week next week. So on Tuesday nights for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be teaching an online class. It's a common or a juncture, a collaboration with the Southport Historical Society, the Old Baldy Foundation, and Brunswick Public Libraries, Brunswick County Public Libraries, that is. You can find information about those online classes. It's a 4-week class on the Southport Historical Society website or Facebook page. Search for Facebook. Also on April 8th, this coming Wednesday, we have a virtual historic happy hour in the works. We're going to be discussing the history and the memory of the boathouse that unfortunately this island lost during Hurricane Florence in 2018. Usually we have these historic happy hours on the grounds of the lighthouse here. It's a great program. It's my favorite program. It may be yours as well. But unfortunately, of course, because of this pandemic, we will not be able to gather in fellowship here at the lighthouse. So we are asking you to BYOB. I'll be able to see you. You'll be able to see me through this wonderful thing called technology. So we'd love to have you join us. How do you sign up, you might ask? How do you get this technology to join this virtual meeting? Well, go to our website, oldbaldy.org. You'll find information about the happy hour on our website. And if you choose to subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter, there is a code in that newsletter that you may use to sign up for that virtual happy hour free. Tickets are usually $15. Of course, if you'd like to make a contribution to the Old Baldy Foundation to support our mission of education and interpretation and preservation of North Carolina's oldest standing lighthouse, we thoroughly and really appreciate your generosity. But take us up on that offer for that free code if you'd like. Again, you may find that on our newsletter that is sent out monthly. Also, when you're on our brand new website, oldbaldy.org, you can see our new online store where you can find these wonderful, cool t-shirts that I'm just in love with. There are 2 colors. I can't stop wearing. I really love these shirts. They have a nice feel to them. The design is awesome with that off-center and lantern room. There's a cool design on the back. You can find apparel like this, hats, books, puzzles, children's games, beautiful artwork by Melissa Reddick that features some photographs from our collections. All that is on our brand new online store you may access via oldbaldy.org. And when you shop there, you support, again, our mission. So it's shopping for a good cause. So on that note, thank you for joining us. We sincerely hope that y'all are healthy and that y'all are trying to stay happy out there, to keep smiling. It's been a struggle for me. It's been a struggle for our entire staff who's working remotely. And I'm sure it's been a struggle for you as well. It's really difficult times. So hang in there. Keep smiling. Keep busy. Stay positive. Thank an essential employee. We thank you for doing what you can to support us and by joining us on these virtual tours and virtual programs to kind of forget the state of the world. But we're going to get through this, folks. We're all going to get through this together, and we're going to see you very soon here on beautiful Bald Head Island, and we can continue this dialogue in person. So Keith, hey, thank you for that kind word. We appreciate you joining us, Keith. Kristen, thank you. Thank you for joining us and some of those great questions that you had earlier. So folks, join us this afternoon at 2 o'clock. As always, you can see any of these programs on our Facebook page, on our Instagram TV page, or on our YouTube page. And when you visit YouTube, hit subscribe for us. Help us increase our social media presence. So we'll see you this afternoon. You all have a wonderful weekend. Take care and stay healthy.